Welcome, folks, to a tale that'll grip your heart and leave you cheering for a hero you'd never expect. This is The Intruder's Foe, a true story of courage, loyalty, and a night that changed everything. Buckle up, hit that like button if you love a good thriller, and let's dive into the action. The night was thick with silence, the kind that blankets rural Texas like a heavy quilt. Stars speckled the sky above Jake Harper's sprawling ranch, a rugged patch of land carved out of grit and determination. Inside the modest wooden house, Jake, a weathered 40-year-old rancher, slept soundly beside his wife, Sally. The faint creak of the old oak floors and the distant hum of crickets were the only sounds, until a low, guttural growl sliced through the stillness. Jake's eyes snapped open. Beside him, Sally stirred, her breath catching as the growl deepened into a menacing rumble. It was Ranger, their loyal German shepherd, a shadow of muscle and instinct pacing at the foot of the bed. His ears were pricked, his amber eyes glinting with a fierce alertness that sent a shiver down Jake's spine. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. "Ranger, what is it, boy?" Jake whispered, his voice hoarse from sleep. He swung his legs over the edge of the bed, the cold floor biting at his bare feet. Ranger didn't wait for an answer. With a sudden burst of energy, he bolted toward the back door, his claws scraping against the wood as he let out a sharp, insistent bark. Jake's heart thudded in his chest. He knew that sound. It wasn't a stray coyote or a wandering raccoon. Ranger was on the hunt. Sally sat up, clutching the quilt to her chest. "Jake, what's happening?" Her voice trembled, her wide eyes searching his face in the dim moonlight spilling through the curtains. "Stay here," he said firmly, already reaching for the rifle propped against the wall. His fingers brushed the cool steel, steadying his nerves as Ranger's growls escalated into a ferocious snarl. Whatever was out there, it wasn't welcome. Jake crept toward the back door, his pulse racing as he peered through the smudged glass pane. The yard was cloaked in shadows, the silhouette of his beat-up pickup truck barely visible under the faint glow of a flickering porch light. Then he saw them. Two figures, hunched and moving with predatory stealth. Masks obscured their faces, and their gloved hands fumbled with the truck's door. Thieves. Intruders. A surge of fury boiled in Jake's gut. This was his land, his home. Before he could unlatch the door, Ranger made his move. With a deafening bark that shattered the night, the German shepherd hurled himself against the frame, forcing it open in a blur of black and tan fur. He was a missile of loyalty, a storm of teeth and courage launched straight at the intruders. "Ranger!" Jake shouted, but there was no stopping him. The dog tore across the yard, his growls reverberating like thunder. The first thief barely had time to turn before Ranger leaped, his jaws clamping down on the man's leg with a sickening crunch. A scream pierced the air, raw and panicked, as the thief crumpled to the ground, flailing helplessly against the unrelenting grip. The second intruder froze, his breath hitching as he watched his partner thrash under Ranger's weight. Then, like a coward caught in the headlights, he bolted, his boots kicking up dirt as he sprinted toward the tree line. But Ranger wasn't done. With a snarl that could curdle blood, he released the first thief and charged after the second, his powerful legs closing the distance in seconds. The man stumbled, his arms windmilling as Ranger lunged, pinning him face down in the dust. A yelp escaped the thief's lips, muffled by the earth as Ranger stood over him, teeth bared, a guardian forged in fur and fire. Jake burst out of the house, rifle in hand, the cold night air stinging his lungs. "Stay down," he roared, his voice a whip crack of authority. The first thief, clutching his mangled leg, whimpered as blood seeped through his torn jeans. The second lay motionless under Ranger's watchful glare, too terrified to move. Jake's chest heaved with a mix of adrenaline and pride as he trained the rifle on the intruders, his finger hovering near the trigger. Sally's voice drifted from the porch, shaky but resolute. "I called the sheriff, Jake. They're on their way." She clutched her phone, her silhouette framed by the warm glow of the house, a beacon of calm amid the chaos. Minutes later, the wail of sirens cut through the night, red and blue lights painting the ranch in eerie streaks. Deputies swarmed the yard, their boots crunching gravel as they hauled the thieves into cuffs. The first intruder groaned, his leg a mess of crimson, while the second muttered curses under his breath, his mask yanked off to reveal a gaunt, sweat-streaked face. The sheriff approached Jake, tipping his hat with a grim nod. "These 2V been hittin' ranches all over the county," he said, his drawl thick with exhaustion. "Tools, trucks, livestock, you name it. Looks like your dog put an end to their streak." Jake glanced at Ranger, who sat panting at his side, his fur bristling but his eyes calm, as if he'd known all along he'd come out on top. The tension in Jake's shoulders melted away, replaced by a swell of gratitude that tightened his throat. He knelt beside his companion, running a hand through the dog's thick coat. Ranger leaned into the touch, his tail thumping the ground once, twice, a quiet victory. "Ranger, you're my guardian," Jake murmured, his voice cracking with emotion. He gave the dog a firm pat, pride shining in his eyes as he stood. "Ain't no one gettin' past you, boy." The deputies loaded the thieves into the squad car, their grumbled threats fading into the night. Sally stepped forward, wrapping her arms around Jake, her breath warm against his neck. "He saved us," she whispered, her gaze flickering to Ranger. "He really did." As the taillights of the police cars vanished down the dusty road, Jake looked out over his ranch, the weight of the night settling into his bones. The stars still glittered above, indifferent to the drama below. But here, on this patch of Texas soil, a hero had emerged, not in a cape, but in a coat of fur, with a heart fiercer than any storm. And that's the incredible story of Ranger, the dog who turned a quiet night into a legendary showdown. Did his bravery blow you away? Smash that like button if you think Ranger deserves a hero's medal, and share this video with your friends who love a good tale of guts and glory. Don't forget to subscribe for more heart-pounding stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. See you in the next one.